a woman named Shanice, beautiful Shanice, with her smooth caramel skin, long flowing hair, and a smile that could light up any room. But beauty, as they say, is only skin deep. And Shanice's story, well, it's one that needs to be told. Shanice grew up in Kingston, raised by her grandmother after her own mother left for America and never came back. Maybe that's why she was always searching, always looking for love in all the wrong places, always believing that the next man would be the one to fill that empty space in her heart. At 19, Shanice met Marcus. Marcus was a taxi driver with big dreams and sweet words. He promised her the world, promised her a house, a ring, a future. And Shanice believed him. 9 months later, little Malik was born. Marcus was there for the first 3 months. Then the calls became less frequent. The visits stopped. The money? Well, that dried up faster than a puddle in the hot sun. Marcus had moved on to another woman, another promise, another life. Shanice's grandmother looked at her with tired eyes and said, "Child, you better learn from this." But Shanice didn't learn, not yet. 2 years later, Shanice met Devon at a dance. Devon was different, she told herself. He worked at a supermarket. He had a steady job. He seemed responsible. Devon said all the right things. He said Malik needed a father, and he would be that father. 6 months into the relationship, Shanice was pregnant again. This time, a beautiful baby girl she named Kiana. Devon stayed for a year. He tried, he really did. But the arguments started. About money, about Malik, about trust. Devon said he couldn't handle another man's child. He said Shanice had too much baggage. One morning, he packed his things and left while Shanice was at the market. Kiana never got to know her father. Now Shanice had 2 children, no job, and a grandmother who was getting older and sicker. She needed help. She needed money. When she met Trevor at the community center, she thought maybe, just maybe, this was her blessing. Trevor was a security guard. He had his own little apartment. He didn't mind the 2 children, he said. He actually liked kids. Shanice felt hope again. But Trevor had a secret. Trevor had a wife he conveniently forgot to mention until Shanice was 7 months pregnant with twin boys. The wife showed up at Shanice's door, screaming, cursing, calling her every name under the sun. Shanice gave birth to the twins, Jaden and Jordan, in stress and shame. Trevor chose his wife. Shanice chose pride and refused his money. 3 children became 4. Shanice was only 24 years old. Her grandmother passed away when the twins were 6 months old. Shanice was devastated, lost, alone. The small house her grandmother left her was falling apart. The bills were piling up. The children were always hungry. That's when she met Andre. Andre was older, in his 40s. He had money from some business nobody asked too many questions about. He saw Shanice struggling at the bus stop with 4 children and offered her a ride. That ride turned into dinner. Dinner turned into promises. Promises turned into another pregnancy. Baby girl Aliyah was born, and Andre stuck around longer than the others, almost 2 years. He paid the bills, bought food, even fixed up the house a little. Shanice thought maybe her luck had finally changed, but Andre's business caught up with him. Police, arrest, prison. 5 years they gave him. He wrote her letters for the first 6 months, then nothing. Shanice was alone again, now with 5 children under the age of 8. Desperation makes people do desperate things. Shanice met Ryan at the hospital when Malik had the flu. Ryan was a nurse, kind, gentle, educated. He felt sorry for her situation. That pity turned into something else. Or at least that's what Shanice wanted to believe. Ryan was married too, but separated, he said. He helped with the children, bought medicine, brought groceries. For 6 months, Shanice felt like she had a partner. Then she got pregnant. Ryan's wife wasn't as separated as he claimed. When she found out about Shanice and the pregnancy, she gave Ryan an ultimatum. He chose his wife, his career, his reputation. Baby boy Rahim was born, and Ryan sent money for exactly 3 months. Then his lawyer sent a letter saying he wanted no contact and would only pay what the court ordered, which wasn't much. By now, Shanice was 31 years old with 6 children, 6 different fathers, 6 different stories of abandonment. The community talked. Oh, how they talked. At the market, at church, at school. They whispered, they pointed, they judged. But Shanice had stopped caring what people thought. She was tired, so very tired. Working 2 jobs, barely keeping food on the table, watching her children suffer for her choices. Then she met Danielle at her evening job cleaning offices. Daniel was the security guard on duty. He was quiet, older, seemed stable. He never judged her, never asked too many questions. He just listened. One thing led to another. Shanice got pregnant again. This time, she didn't even pretend it was love. She knew what it was. Loneliness, weakness, a moment of forgetting how hard her life had become. Baby girl Destiny was born. Daniel paid for the hospital bill and disappeared. Shanice never saw him again. 7 children, 7 different fathers, 1 exhausted mother. The years passed like a blur of struggle. Malik, her firstborn, was now 17. He had watched his mother's life unfold like a tragedy. He had seen the men come and go. He had heard the promises and witnessed the abandonment. He had helped raise his siblings when Shanice worked double shifts. And he was angry, so very angry. The other children were struggling too. Kiana, at 15, was bitter and rebellious, already dating older boys. The twins were getting into fights at school. Aliyah had anxiety and cried every night. Rahim barely spoke. And little Destiny, at just 4 years old, was the only one who still smiled. One evening, after another bill collector called, after another argument about money, after another night of rice and beans with no meat, Malik finally exploded. "Why, Mama?" he shouted, tears streaming down his face. "Why did you keep doing this to us? Why did you keep bringing children into this world when you couldn't take care of the ones you already had?" Shanice stood there, frozen, as her eldest son spoke the truth she had been running from for years. "We've been hungry, Mama. We've been ashamed. We've been laughed at in school. Your mama have 7 picnic for 7 men. That's what they say. Do you know how that feels?" The other children gathered around, some crying, some silent, all watching their mother with eyes full of hurt and questions she couldn't answer. "I loved them," Shanice whispered, her voice breaking. "I thought they loved me. But what about us?" Kiana spoke up, her voice hard. "What about loving us enough to stop, to protect us, to think about what kind of life we would have?" That night, after the children finally went to bed in the cramped rooms they shared, Shanice looked at herself in the mirror, really looked. She saw a woman of 35 who looked 50, tired eyes, grey hairs, hands rough from work, a body worn out from pregnancies and stress. But more than that, she saw the truth. She had been searching for love in all the wrong places, looking for men to complete her, to save her, to make her feel worthy. And in that search, she had brought 7 innocent children into a life of struggle and pain. The men were wrong, all of them. They had used her, abandoned her, left her to raise their children alone. But she had made choices too. She had believed the lies. She had ignored the warnings. She had prioritized temporary comfort over her children's future. And now, 7 beautiful souls were paying the price for her mistakes. The next morning, Shanice made a decision. She couldn't change the past, but she could change the future. She sat her children down and did something she had never done before. She apologized. "I'm sorry," she said, looking each one in the eye. "I'm sorry for the choices I made. I'm sorry for the struggles you faced because of me. I'm sorry for bringing you into situations that weren't stable. I can't take it back, but I can promise you this: no more. No more men, no more drama. From now on, it's just us. Just this family." Malik looked skeptical. Kiana rolled her eyes, but little Destiny climbed into her lap and hugged her tight. Shanice got a 3rd job. She enrolled in night school to finish her education. She stopped looking for love and started looking for purpose. She joined a church that helped single mothers. She got counseling. She learned to forgive herself while still holding herself accountable. It wasn't easy. There were many nights of tears and exhaustion, many moments of doubt, but slowly things started to change. The children saw their mother fighting not for a man, but for them, and they started to respect her again. Years later, Kiana came to her mother, 22 years old, and pregnant with her first child. She was terrified. "Mama," she said, crying, "I'm scared I'm going to mess up I'm scared I'm going to make mistakes." Shanice held her daughter close. "Baby, we all make mistakes, but the difference is learning from them. You're already doing better than I did. You have an education, you have a career, you have a man who's committed to you. Most importantly, you understand that children are a blessing, but they need stability." She pulled back and looked her daughter in the eyes. "That baby you're carrying deserves the best version of you, not a version that's desperate for love or validation from anyone. A version that knows her worth, that's stable, that's ready. Don't bring a child into chaos, baby. Bring a child into peace." Today, Shanice is 50 years old. Her children are grown. Some have forgiven her completely. Some are still healing. But they're all surviving, all making their own choices, all learning from their mother's mistakes. Malik is a social worker, helping young mothers avoid the traps his mother fell into. Kiana has 2 children with 1 husband and a successful career. The twins own a small business together. Aliyah is a therapist. Rahim is studying engineering. And Destiny, the youngest, is in college on a scholarship. As for the 7 fathers, some pay child support when the court forces them. Some have never met their children. Some showed up years later with apologies and excuses. But Shanice doesn't focus on them anymore. She focused on healing herself and her family. Shanice's story is not unique. There are many women, many children living this same struggle. This story isn't meant to judge, but to warn, to remind us that our choices have consequences, especially for the innocent lives we bring into this world. Children deserve stability. They deserve fathers who stay. They deserve mothers who think about their future before their own loneliness. They deserve better than broken promises and broken homes. If you're searching for love, search within yourself first. If you're looking for completion, complete yourself first. And if you're thinking about bringing a child into this world, make sure you're bringing them into a foundation that won't crumble. Because 7 children with 7 different fathers isn't a story of love. It's a story of pain, searching, and lessons learned the hardest way possible. May the story touch someone's heart and change someone's path.